Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the Road to USPSA Race Gun Nationals, Episode 7. I'm Shop Placement, Masterclass USPSA Shooter. And in today's video, I'd like to talk a little bit about recoil, recoil control, and the grip. So it's a very important attribute of being able to shoot a pistol well, regardless of your discipline, whether it's USPSA, practical shooting, defensive shooting, really anything that you're doing related to a firearm, you should be able to control the firearm well. So let's go ahead and just dive right in and define these things. So what is recoil? Recoil control is the reaction that happens when a firearm is fired for the force to come back on the point of exit. So what does that mean? So I think the physics law goes for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's simply what is the baseline physical principle behind recoil. So as a bullet leaves the barrel after it's fired, there is a force that is generated that comes back rearward from that point of origin. So recoil happens right here, and it's that rearward force. Pistols operate via recoil. So after the pistol is fired, the slide has that rearward force to where it wants to come back and eject the spent casing, and then place back the next round, strip the next round off the magazine, place it into the chamber. So recoil is an important part. There's no eliminating recoil. Recoil is a natural part of shooting, and indeed the natural way that firearms are designed to operate. So what is recoil control? Recoil control is being able to have the pistol engage that recoil and then come back to the exact same spot. So if I'm in USPSA, if I'm engaging a target and it requires 2 rounds on that target, I fire the first shot, the pistol's going to recoil, and then recoil control is going to be the technique that I use to have the pistol come back immediately back down to that place that I was originally aiming. So the shot is fired, recoil happens, the muzzle lifts. Recoil control is simply the act of bringing it back down onto the target. So how is recoil control developed, and what do we do to control recoil? The first and most important part of recoil control is going to be the grip that we use on the pistol. So for me, what a good grip looks like is I'm taking my strong hand, that is the hand where the trigger finger is firing. For most right-handed individuals, that's what's going to be your strong hand. If you're left-handed, you might be shooting with your left hand, that would be your strong hand. So strong hand, simply riding up as high as possible into the back strap of the pistol. So riding up nice and high, and then wrapping my fingers around. So it's going to look something like this. So again, you can see that my webbing of my hand is depressed, and I've got my hand up as high as possible. My fingers are as high up as possible into the bottom of the trigger guard. So this is what my strong hand will look like. And then I'm pairing that up with additional support for recoil control from my support hand. So what is happening with my support hand? I'm not simply just pressing my hand against the pistol and then wrapping my fingers around. There's a little bit more to it than that. So for support hand, when we talk about ability to resist a force, resist recoil, your hand has the ability to, when you lock your wrist, you have much more ability to control torque that's going to be happening on your hand. So if I was to lock my wrist like this and then try to move it, it's hard to move. Whereas if I have my hand, my wrist flat, my hand straight out, it's much easier for me to move my hand. So locking the wrist is a very important part of this. So as I develop my strong hand grip and bring in my support hand, what I'm doing here is I'm actually rotating my hand down and locking my wrist into place. Then I'm putting it into the pistol like so. So locking the wrist, wrap it all the way around. Again, nice and high, riding up into the trigger guard. Very important aspect. So I see a lot of people, they'll come out and they will have their hands relaxed and down. They'll start shooting and the pistol is going to be flying all over the place. You'll get a lot more torque and recoil control out of your grip by, again, just that simple technique of locking your support hand on the pistol and working it like so. The next thing that I want you to think about when you're thinking about recoil control and you're engaging your shooting is what is happening with your elbows and your flare. So what do I mean by that? The best way to think about this is imagine that you're gripping a horseshoe. You've got a horseshoe in both hands, one side on each hand, and what you're doing is you're going to be trying to pull that horseshoe apart and try to make it straight. So what is happening when we do that? You'll see that my elbows are starting to flare out a little bit more. If I was to try to pull my horseshoe apart, I couldn't have my elbows down here. To get the most strength into it, I'd be grabbing that horseshoe and then pulling with my elbows out this way, trying to rotate my arms. The same thing should be happening when we shoot a pistol for good recoil control. So what I will do is I will be gripping the pistol and I'll be torquing my elbows out. And that just imagine like the pistol again being that horseshoe, and I'm simply pulling it apart and pulling it straight. And the elbows are gonna naturally flare out. You can go really aggressive with this to get extreme, or you can find like your good happy medium. The point of the matter is just you want to have some torque where you are pulling from both sides of the pistol. That is really going to help control that lateral movement and help keep the pistol locked in the right place. So again, nice and strong, nice and high into the beaver tail with the strong hand, locking the wrist on the support hand, again very high into the pistol, controlling it, and then we're thinking about pulling apart a horseshoe. Having a horseshoe in our hands and just pulling it out and making it as straight as possible. Those are really the main things. I find that I can shoot with really good recoil control in almost any position, using those just simple techniques. A lot of people really get hung up on what your shoulders should be doing. Should your shoulders be drooping low? Should your shoulders be high? Your shoulders should just be in a natural position. So don't think so much about drooping them or bringing them way up and do a turtle type of look like this. Just have them be in a natural position. If you're flaring your elbows out and you've got enough torque applied, your shoulders should be about neutral. So my shoulders are just, they're not completely relaxed, they're not completely torqued up. They're just, kind of in a natural position relative to what I'm doing with my elbows and how I'm gripping the pistol. That is the most important thing. The second part is really body position. You want to stand in like what I say is like a boxer's stance, where you've got your foot back and you're leaning forward into the gun. Not so much that you are just driving it, really hard into it, but just again, in a comfortable, like a fighter stance position. Bringing all those things together is really gonna help with your recoil control and being able to control the pistol and get every shot to be going into the same spot. The other thing that I want you to think about is your strength attribute. So it definitely helps in recoil control to have strong hands and generally a strong upper body. But strong hands and strong forearms I find really helps with being able to control a pistol well. So one tool that I use to enhance my grip strength are going to be these. These are the Captains of Crush grippers from a company called Iron Mind. They are a company that's really focused on powerlifting and strength training, but they make these grippers, which are a really excellent tool for enhancing your grip strength and building up a really solid foundation of strength in the forearms. I keep a set of these in my truck when I'm coming back from the gym. I'll go ahead and bust out 3 sets of 10 with isometric holds at the end of each set, and that I find has really helped with my grip strength and my recoil control and just being able to apply a lot of force onto the pistol. Again, if you're death gripping a pistol so hard that it's beginning to hurt, if you have one strength level, then you bring it back down to 80% of your grip strength, having a higher total grip strength overall will be better. It will allow you to not be so hard on the pistol, but still be able to get the pistol to return. So having strong hands, all things being equal, is really good. They have different levels of resistance. These are the 1.5, so I think these come in at about 167 pounds to be able to close these guys and hold them. They make ones that are lighter. If you're just starting out, I think what I recommend to you is the T, which is the trainer. I think that comes in at about 100 pounds of resistance to be able to close it. But they make levels below that. I think they make one called like a guide and a sport, which are in like the 60 and 80 pound range. And then they go way up from there. Like the guys that are powerlifting, they go all the way up to, I think there's a 300 pound model, which is obviously an insane amount of force. So again, I think these are $25 per gripper on Amazon. I I think if you buy them as a set, with a starting set, you can get a little bit of a discount on them, but these are a great tool for building your grip strength and being able to enhance your recoil control by having stronger hands and stronger forearm. The other aspect, however, that you need to be thinking about if you are going to be increasing your grip strength with these grippers is being able to enhance your hand extensors in the opposite direction. So the way I like to put it is it's a lot like working your quads. You know, if you work your quads, you also need to be working your hamstrings as well to be able to have a balanced, leg musculature composition. So if you're going to be working in this direction with the strength, you also have to be working in this direction as well. And that's what these bands come into play for. They're also sold alongside the grippers. And what you essentially do is you put them around your fingers like so, and you open up your hands. So these will help work both planes of motion in your grip strength, and again, really help you build up that forearm strength. So an important aspect. Again, if you're just starting out, again, start with a lower level of resistance and start with fewer reps. Definitely don't do them every single day when you're just starting out. The hands, the muscles that are in the hands and in the forearms, if they haven't been really worked very hard, when you're just starting out, you can be prone to injury. So start out with a lower weight, reasonable reps, sufficient amount of time of rest in between, and that will really help you put you on a solid foundation. And then from there, regular training every other day, say, where you're working on your grip strength. Your grip floor will start to rise and rise and rise, and you'll get very strong. And then it will be much easier for you to control the recoil that comes alongside shooting a pistol and shooting it well. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you find this information valuable, please go ahead and give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again. Have a great day.